When Lila found her grandmother's journals, she expected rituals, prayers, incantations, magic. What she found instead changed everything. Day 47, the ants build high. The baobabs shed early, 3 days. Day 63, wind shifts northeast. Cattle refuse the western pasture, 2 days. Day 81, the termites swarm at dusk, tomorrow. These weren't spells. They were predictions. Her grandmother, the legendary rain queen who called the rain for 40 years, hadn't been performing magic at all. She'd been doing something else, something Lila with all her university degrees had never considered. And now, with the village dying of thirst and everyone looking to Lila to save them, she had 3 days to figure out what her grandmother really knew before it was too late. Welcome to the Afro Tales with Kemi, where African stories are told slowly, honestly, and with meaning. So sit back, open your heart, and walk with me through today's tale, told as always, the African way. I am Kemi Iwalesi. The wells were dry. The crops were dead. The children were thirsty, and all eyes were on her, Lila, born during the last great drought, expected to save them, and she didn't believe in magic. 6 years away, and she returned to a village dying. Chief Obi spoke. Lila, the rains have abandoned us. Perform the ritual. Lila swallowed hard. I'm a scientist. I don't know your rituals. Murmurs ripped through the crowd. Every eye was on her. Mama Kemi, an elderly woman, stepped forward. The gift is in your blood, child. You don't need to know. You need to listen. Lila's heart raced. Belief versus proof. Magic versus science. And the village's future hung in the balance. The compound was frozen in time. Nothing disturbed. Everything in its place. And there they were, her grandmother's journals, hundreds of pages filled with notes, sketches, observations, clouds forming, ants building, high mounds, birds flying low, soil testing in hands, patterns recorded over decades. Lila realized her mother hadn't called the rain with rituals. She had predicted it, read the land, listened to the earth, and the rituals, they were for the people, for hope, not the sky. Lila knew this. The rains might never return. The climate had shifted. The usual signs were gone. But her grandmother had left a clue. An underground aquifer beneath the red clay hills. If she was right, they could survive. If she was wrong, the village would suffer. Science versus tradition. Data versus desperation. And all eyes were still on her. For 3 days, Lila pored over every page. Clouds, wind patterns, the way ants built their mounds, birds flying low, cattle refusing certain pastures. Each note was a piece of a puzzle. 40 years of observation, decades of knowledge encoded in ink. Her grandmother hadn't relied on magic. She had watched, learned, anticipated. And then she performed the ritual. Not to summon rain, but to give hope while nature did its work. Lila's chest tightened. It wasn't magic, it was understanding. Every environmental sign her mother had written down would guide them. But there was a problem. The current drought didn't follow the old patterns. The ants weren't building high, The tamas weren't swarming. The land had changed. The ritual alone wouldn't work. They needed something else. A plan grounded in what she now knew. Lila traced her grandmother's notes. Beneath the red clay hills, east of the baobab grove, there was water, an underground aquifer. If they dug there, they wouldn't have to wait for the sky. She took a deep breath. Turning to the elders, she spoke. The ritual won't bring rain, but this map, it can bring water. Silence. The villagers held their breath. Could she be right? Mama Nkem's brow furrowed. You say your grandmother lied? No, Lila replied, voice steady. She's taught us to see, to understand. She performed rituals to give hope, but the real power was in knowing the land. Chief Obi studied the parched fields, the children, the failing crops. And if there is no water? He asked. Then I was wrong, Lila said. But if I am right, we survive. Hope and doubt balanced on the edge of her words. They chose to dig. Men and women, old and young, worked together. Sweat glistened on brows, hands blistered on shovels. Lila checked her grandmother's map constantly, tracing every landmark. This wasn't a ritual anymore. It was science in action, guided by centuries of observation. And with every shovel full of clay, the villagers began to believe, not in magic, but in understanding. Their survival depended on listening not to the sky, but to the earth beneath their feet. They dug for 2 full days. The sun beat down. The clay resisted every strike. Some men wanted to quit. There's nothing here, they said. We are wasting strength. Lila shook her head. 3 more feet. The clay will change. Keep digging. At 20 feet, the clay shifted to grey damp softer. She held her breath. 22 feet. The shovel struck something solid. Water gushed. Cold, clean, abundant. A roar of joy erupted. The children laughed. The women ululated. And the men shouted with relief. Lila's heart raced. This wasn't magic. This was observation, intuition, and understanding coming to life. Within days, channels were dug, crops replanted, water stored. Fields that had been dust now flourished. Children played in streams, laughing for the first time in months. The Rain Queen's daughter called the water from the earth. The villagers exclaimed. Lila smiled quietly. It wasn't her magic. It was her grandmother's gift of understanding, passed down, proven in the soil beneath their feet. That evening, Lila knelt at her grandmother's grave beneath the old baobab tree. I understand now, she whispered. You weren't performing magic. You were teaching us to see, to trust the land. Chief Obi approached. The elders want to name you the new Rain Queen. Lila shook her head. I'm a hydrologist, Chief, not a Rain Queen. He smiled. Your grandmother did both. Yes, she replied. Observation and hope. Science and belief. They can work together. 3 months later, the rains finally came. Not because Lila called them, but because the climate cycle shifted back, just as the data predicted it would. And when the children asked, did you make the rain come? Lila smiled. No, the rain comes when it's ready. But while we wait, we learn to read what the earth is telling us. My grandmother taught me that the best magic is understanding. And understanding takes patience, observation, time. Come, let me show you what the ants are doing this season. Let me teach you to listen. The gift didn't die with Mama Ekene. It never did. Because it was never magic. It was attention. It was care. It was 40 years of asking, what is the land telling me today? And Lila understood now. She wasn't the Rain Queen's daughter because she inherited power. She was the Rain Queen's daughter because she inherited curiosity. And that was worth more than any ritual, because magic runs out, but understanding compounds. Generation after generation, grandmother to granddaughter, teacher to student. The real gift isn't calling the rain, it's teaching others to read the earth well enough that they'll never have to. The ancestors didn't leave us magic. They left us maps. We just have to learn to read them.
When the drum speaks, Africa remembers. When stories rise, hearts awaken. Afro tales